Hello and welcome back to another episode of More Than a Business Live. I am your host, Mitch Case. I am also the co-founder of my wife and I's business called More Than a Meal, where we help organizations strengthen their most valued relationships, typically their employees or clients, by showing gratitude and appreciation one meal at a time. We started the show a handful of months ago just with the intent to highlight individuals that are building businesses, whether those are owners, C-levels, or even HR executives, and the hard work that it takes, not just to build a successful business from a dollar perspective, but build a successful business from a cultural perspective. Why do people want to stick around? What makes people want to come and work with these organizations? So I've been blessed to have so many amazing guests talk about their businesses and however they interact. And today's show is going to be nothing less of that. So um, this is also possible with the opportunity to have True Captive as one of our sponsors for the show. So I do want to say thank you to them. And if you're ever looking for more of a unique captive healthcare program, this company, True Captive, really believe in healthcare that is personal and insurance that isn't complicated. So if you ever want to learn more about that, just go on over to their website at truecaptive.com. If you can't find that for whatever reason, just reach out to me. I'll get you connected with someone on their team. So with that said, we are coming to you guys every single Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Time, and we'll continue to do that through the rest of this year. I'm really excited with this lineup of guests that we already have out booked through April right now. But today's guest is someone kind of near and dear to my old school roots, growing up really in the mechanical industry, in the MEP industry. And I was fortunate enough to work with this gentleman for close to 10 years when I was in that. So our guest today is Bill Alexander. He is the CEO and president of Alexander Mechanical. What I'm going to talk about specifically about what I always recognize with Bill is he was always doing things more than just the business itself. Whether he was serving on some sort of board, whether he was active in his church and faith and other ways of nonprofits here in the Kansas City area, I just always recognized that when I was working directly with him. It's some of the things that I really greatly appreciated outside of just the direct work that we got to do. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome Bill to the show. Bill, welcome, man. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm glad to be on. Like I say, it's good to make this
Awesome.
connection. It's a little bit different than being talking about cooling towers and some other things. So
I haven't, I was always joking around with my wife. Like I always got in trouble when we were driving because I would always be looking up on rooftops and all that kind of stuff instead of the road. And now being removed from that industry for almost 3 years now, it still doesn't go away. I still am looking up at rooftops and it just never will stop. So I am really excited to have you on just from, the past 3 years, not having worked directly with you, but indirectly now, and excited to have you on the show. Why don't you tell us real quick, kind of obviously who you are, and let's talk a little bit about Alexander Mechanical, and then we're going to dive right into that impact story.
Oh, fantastic. Again, I'm Bill Alexander. Actually, I'm president and CEO of Alexander Mechanical Incorporated. We've been around for 26 years. We're a full service mechanical contractor performing HVAC, plumbing. We have a full service department. We do fabrication and we do facility management. Like I said, we have several fantastic clients in Kansas City and in different parts of the country. And we not only function in Kansas City, but we have an office in Nashville.
Awesome. Yeah, that was when I was just kind of stepping away from my previous employer. You had just kind of gotten that office up and running, I believe. So I'm excited to hear that is still operating and moving along just fine. Bill, what we always do to kind of start off this show is just an impact story. So maybe tell us of a story or personal story of maybe something that you or Alexander Mechanical has done to truly have an impact on whether it's a team member or maybe even a community member.
So, I mean, one of the things that when we started in business, when I started in business 26 years ago, I was very naive and didn't understand, the full impact of going in business for yourself. And so
I have no idea what you mean.
for all the years that I worked for somebody else, I always knew where I was going to work at. And so at the moment I went into business for myself, it was like, oh my God, I got to figure out where am I going, where everybody's going the next day. Yeah. And so one of the things that we do now and have for quite a few years is we believe in mentoring other contractors. So there's probably been 10 to 12 contractors over the last 15 to 20 years that I've taken a personal part in their lives and starting their business and getting their businesses off ground. And some of them have been successful, some of them haven't been so successful, but for the best part, they've gone well. But one of the things I tried to talk to them about is what to expect when you take that business from scratch into fruition. And so I kind of pride ourselves that we take that time, and other employees are involved in that too with the company, that we take that time to mentor other companies. And they might not necessarily be mechanical, but some of them have been. Some have been electrical, some have been excavators, and so. But we've taken that time to help nurture other contractors.
So you've potentially even been mentoring competitors of yours?
Oh, exactly. Matter of fact, I have two right now that I'm mentoring that are competitors, or will be competitors hopefully soon. So
why, in the hustle and bustle, and even in the construction industry itself, I mean, people will say it's very cutthroat, and I would argue that they are right in some certain areas and wrong in others. Like, why would you want to mentor one of your competitors? I know why, but I'm asking you, like, why is that what you want to do?
I mean, I feel it's the right thing to do. In Kansas City and other parts of the country, I mean, we live in an inclusive world, and everybody should be part of that inclusive world that we live in. Everybody should be able to enjoy the American dream. And so I feel it's my part, since I've been somewhat successful, to help somebody else get to that same platform. And definitely in Kansas City, the capacity of our minority women contractors is not as great as it should be. So I think it's part of my duty to help achieve that and help to grow that number. So
I did not know that you did that, Bill, but it aligns so well with every interaction that I've ever had with you, and that, and goes to show exactly why, I wanted you to be on this show, in the sense that, if you were doing this for the money, you wouldn't get one of your competitors to be more successful or be successful in that space. And that's truly, when it comes into it, is, you just said, like, it's the right thing to do. And that's what I've enjoyed seeing from a lot of the organizations that I've had on this show, is like, it really tends to come back to, they want to do what's right, and they care about their people. Like, those are the two things that continue to show up day in and day out as I have these conversations with these individuals. So I really appreciate that. And I believe you had mentioned, even before we got on the show, one of those mentees of yours was previously on our show, correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. So
Fatima
over at
Parrish. That's what made me look out and check the show out. Was
okay. All right. Well, shout out to Fatima. She was someone that, her impact story was shocking, giving back to individuals, primarily minority young women, to see what construction is all about and how that might be a space for them. I think when she was working on the airport project. So yeah, shout out to her, and just the amazing work that she is doing.
And that is where I first met her at, was the airport.
Oh, and was it? Okay.
And the fact that you might know, her father was in the air conditioning business.
Dude, that business is so small. Everybody knows everybody in that space. Well, I am greatly appreciative of just the work you do directly inside, but I had no idea that you're doing the mentoring side outside of that. Something I forgot to do is, anybody that is tuning into this show live, go ahead and let us know where you're tuning in from, whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I don't know exactly where you're coming from, so let us know. And if you have any questions for Bill and I as we go through this conversation, shoot that into the comments, and we would be happy to answer those questions once we get towards the end of the show. Looks like you've already got one. I'm assuming, is that Dave? Do you know Dave Alexander?
No, I do not.
All right. Well, we got to figure out where that connection is now, since we've got the Alexanders on the show.
Yeah.
So thank you for tuning in. And yeah, if you have any questions, shoot us a message in there. Bill, this comes to the part of the show where I asked you to kind of brag about yourself. So it's a little awkward at times, but It's the meat and potatoes of this show in the sense of, you've built Alexander Mechanical from nothing to something. So go ahead and let us know like what truly makes Alexander more than a business.
So I mean, of course, if I don't give a shout out to our employees, I'd be it's not getting choked when I leave this office. But I mean, our employees make us who we are, and on top of that, the second thing is our customers make us who we are. I mean, we have some employees that have been here almost 26 years with us, and so which speaks a lot. And so,
That's
and
incredible.
we're growing, we're bringing on new employees. But I mean, for us to not recognize that our employees are who makes us, then we'd definitely understate ourselves as a company. Again, our customers, we've had some customers for over 26 years that have stuck with us, and it's not, I would love to say it's out of loyalty, but it's hard for a contractor to brag about himself, but it's our integrity, it's the trust they have with us, and it's our ability. One of the things that for the size contractor that we are, one of the things that sets us apart from our main competition is our abilities and our capacity to perform the type of work that we do. I mean, we're a mainstream piping contractor. So if it's chillers, boilers, cooling towers, I mean, that's our thing. Process piping. We have a fully staffed fabrication facility here in Kansas City. So that kind of puts us on the same level as some of our larger competition that lets us compete successfully.
Yeah. So, let's dive in with an interesting piece of like the longevity of not only employees but clients. And I've heard the two different scenarios. One, the longevity of employees is the sense that it starts from the top down in how we build this culture. And it's not, one department builds the culture. It's everybody is doing that piece of it. And you just talked about all of your employees. So I'd be kind of curious to hear maybe a little bit more on like what you feel has been unique or different, or the reason why people have stuck around for 26 years. And then on the client side, even, the integrity. And, I'm sure in this 26 years, you've never had one project go bad with any of those individuals. Of course, I say that with a little bit of tongue in cheek here in the sense that I have learned through my own experience for 10 years, but yours too. Like, let's dive into like, what do those, like that integrity and relationship allow you to have when things aren't going right?
We'd love to say every job is perfect. We made money on every job, but that is far from the truth. And I think over our 26 years, the things that we've done is we never run from a battle. We never run from a crisis. We usually run into it and grab it. It's not going to go away. And so the only way to do it is face it head on. And so no matter what it's cost us as a company, we've been successful in making sure the customer was happy when we left, or maybe not happy, but satisfied.
Yeah. Well, you just kind of talked about at the very beginning, like doing what's right.
Yeah. And I think we have, without giving shout outs to, some of the general contractors in town, like the Dunns and the Turners, the McCarthys. I mean, we have a select group of general contractors we've worked with for years. And one of our longest jobs before the NBAF lab in Manhattan was the Richard Bowling building downtown that we were on for 15 years with one general contractor. So
wow. Let's chat on the the tenure of some of your employees. You said 26 years with like from day one, essentially. Apparently you convinced them to come and work for you without a promise on the back end of like, hey, I got this thing and I'm thinking about doing it, but I need you to come along. Like, what has allowed you to see like why those individuals, however many that may be, like what keeps them sticking around?
We're a family business, of course. I mean, we pride ourselves in being a family business. And
shout out to Neil.
My first employee was my daughter, Tennille.
Oh,
And
Neil,
so
you
she
were
was,
the first employee. Okay. All right.
and matter of fact, I'm proud to say that she's now bought into the company, and will eventually be my successor. And
Oh, fantastic. I
that
love
works
hearing
out
that.
well. So she was our first employee, and she is still here. And we have, I think, our second has probably been here 22 years, and then they go on down to some of our newest employees. But
Yeah.
uh,
So the secret is to make sure your family stays in the business. Is that what you're saying?
some days,
All good. All good. I
because
totally understand that.
so the key is there's things you do bring to work, there's things you need to leave at home. So
Fair, fair, absolutely. We'll transition it into kind of the last half of the show here, but I did want to give a shout out to Tracy. She can attest that you guys are a great group of people. So thanks for tuning in, Tracy.
thank you,
Um,
Tracy.
Bill, this is where I always like to be real in the sense that we understand that every day showing up, even it's when it's your own business and you have your own blood, sweat, and tears in it, and maybe it's even harder some of those days to continuously show up and serve the people that we're blessed to serve on our teams. But what continues to motivate you after 26 years of doing this to continuously show up and be present?
You know, after I was a pipe fitter by trade, so I've been in the business 50 years almost now. For 50 years, I
Wow.
have loved what I've done and what I do. I keep thinking about retirement, but every time I think about it, that love of what we do in this business keeps me motivated.
Yeah.
It's that next challenge, that next growth spurt, that next uh, you know, we did a 40 story, now let's do a 60 story. It's that challenge.
Yeah. One of the things that I always recognized when I was in the industry that I always saw you um, mingling again with other contractors. I think you were heavily involved in like the Mechanical Contractors Association, constantly giving in the industry itself to raise, what is it? You raise the water and all ships rise with that. So, tell us about some of the involvement you've had and what you've gotten out of being selfless in the sense of, I know that, this is something that I'm helping and serving my competitors, but in that scenario, like you're helping all things rise. So maybe tell us what you've kind of gotten out of devoting your time outside of just,
And that's
welding pipe and installing equipment.
even when I worked for other contractors, I always saw the value of the MCA.
Mm,
And so when I went into business, there's a lot of things that I saw that worked well that I knew I needed to mimic or duplicate when I started in business. And I knew right off the bat, joining the MCA was one of those, because the MCA is an educational piece. And
yeah.
I mean, and that's their main focus, is to educate contractors, and having an educated workforce and educated group of contractors puts on a much more even playing field. Where we know what we're missing, we know what we're looking for. It helps. Education in any regard is you can't beat it. But for
Yeah.
the MCA, it across the board, it's an education, and it's the education we pull from it that pulls people into the organization. And so that's what most contractors get from it, plus all the fun we get to have. But
Yeah. Secretly, I miss there's Santa Claus would come in and we wouldn't have to go through the lines at the malls and stuff like that to go let the kiddos see Santa. So that was always one of my favorite pieces of what the MCA did every year. Um, having been in this space now where we're talking with HR executives and learning more about the culture and all the things that go into that, education tends to be one of those biggest components that team members need or want out of organizations to feel like they are progressing in their career. So, you just kind of hitting on the education piece and partnering with other organizations to help. I think that's really important for some organizations to realize, like, you don't have to be the ones necessarily to fork out this crazy amount of money to go on these huge
Oh,
sales trainings and all this other stuff. Like, partner with the associations in town that are truly trying to help in that scenario.
and I served 2 years as president of the MCA, and so that was a fantastic experience. I mean, and like I say, we're still there, participate fully with all the functions. But we found more, other value in other organizations too outside the mechanical trades, like the Builders Association. And uh, uh, Don Green, had talked to me for years about being involved in the builders, and I'm like, I just don't have time. I just don't have time. And finally, I start to see more value in that. And again, it's the educational piece. It's good to
Yeah.
get together. It's good to sit down. It's good to talk with your peers, but it's the educational piece. And so Don stole a little time away from the MCA from me to work on that organization.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, we are quickly running out of time, Bill, on this. So, if anybody that was kind of tuning in and maybe had some questions or wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Of course, my email, which is balexander@alexandermechanical.com. I answer those most of the time, 24/7. I'd probably rather not give out my cell phone number, but our office
Yeah,
numbers.
don't do that yet.
Yeah,
I'd like to say that we have millions of followers and you'll just be spammed left and right. I don't think we're at that level just yet for
but
the show,
email's the
but
best. Our office
yeah,
number, of course, is 816-833-0700. And I'm
awesome.
on LinkedIn. So, and then we have a space on Facebook too. So,
Awesome. I will just kind of mimic, if anybody can't get a hold of Bill, just reach out to me and I'll make sure to get you guys connected via email as well. So, Bill, part of when we started this show, my wife and I really wanted to just truly show our gratitude and appreciation for you taking the time out of your day. And by doing so, we would love to be able to send a meal as a gift to someone that you think would be deserving of this meal, whether that is some of the greatest celebrations in life, maybe that's because they worked hard and you just appreciate it, to maybe even some of life's hardest moments. But would love for you to maybe think of somebody and tell us a little bit why you think you would want to send them a gift.
I can I can answer that question for you and actually have a person. One of the things, my parents were very giving parents. And so as that kind of fell onto the children, and actually, Tennille has my daughter. She has gotten into that's her thing. I think if she had the funds, I think that's what she would do. I think she'd just take it and give it all away. But anyway, we have a young lady in our neighborhood, and I guess I can I say her name or
Yeah, absolutely.
okay. Her name is Heather Bosey, and so she's a school teacher, and she works in the inner city school.
Mm,
And she spends outside her time that she spends teaching students and loving students, she is giving of her time and giving of her resources. There's days that she would collect either bicycles, or she collect
mm,
furniture, or she's collecting food or clothing for her students, because uh, most of her immigrants that come to the country, and she's trying to teach them English,
yeah.
and they're coming to this country with hardly anything, but she is
Mm,
devoted to giving resources to ensure that they're having a good life in America. So I would like to
wow.
designate that meal to her.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, after the show, we'll be in touch and make sure that we can get that delivered out to her whenever she is ready to receive that. So definitely appreciate that. We did have a question come in real quick from Dave. He's actually from Nigeria, is what he had said, tuning in on LinkedIn. But he was curious. We'll just kind of answer the first one because this could be a long question, but maybe some innovative or impactful team building activities that you guys do outside of the traditional festive get-togethers. Like, what are some of the things that you guys do within Alexander Mechanical to build camaraderie between the team members?
Ooh, that's a good question. we're so busy right now. Sometimes it's hard to stop and enjoy that. Of course, Christmas just went past, and so we had our yearly Christmas function.
Yeah.
We did something a little bit different this year. We actually split our office at our field people up, and we took all the office people out to not Top Golf, but
Tee shots.
tee shots. And
Yeah.
so we did that. We spent the afternoon and tee shots, and so much more personal.
Yeah.
Got to bond quite a bit more. We try to get all of our office employees and even our field leadership involved with the MCA.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so
Okay.
they have a lot of team function. The young professionals are still hanging out there, so we try to
Yeah.
get them involved in that. We do some high school intern programs, and so our office people are involved in that, and so that kind of builds camaraderie, there too. So
Now, is that where like literally high schoolers will come in and like kind of shadow you guys just to
Yep.
get a feel for the industry?
exactly, yep. And so
Wow.
actually, our office is north of the river, so
Yeah.
with Platte County Liberty School systems.
I did not realize that. That's amazing.
Oh, this is the first year we've done it, and it's fantastic. They
Oh,
spend
okay. Well, all right.
they spend a couple hours twice a week here, and we move around through the company. So each office employee has time to spend with them, and we assign them to a different area, to a different group every time they come in. And so then we kind of huddle together and see how that went. So
You're not
to
having
see
to
what
grade
young
papers or
person can
anything,
do
are
and
you?
do what?
You're not having to grade papers or anything like that, are you?
Oh heck no! Yeah.
I
But
love
no,
that.
it's fantastic to see those young people come into your midst, and the energy they bring with them, and the excitement for of learning what we do.
Yeah, I know that that's a huge focus on just the industry itself, just getting more people involved in the trades, as there's just a limited amount of individuals that have gone into that. And it does seem like maybe you would have obviously a better insight, but it maybe seems like there is some traction happening with that, just with recognizing that college isn't necessarily the right answer for everybody, but getting your trade degree and rocking and rolling out of college without much debt doesn't sound like a bad idea.
I went and spoke to a group last Monday for Martin Luther King up in St. Joe, and one of the college presidents was there at the presentation, and we were talking about getting into trade unions, and we were talking about everybody is not meant to go to college or can't go to college, and there's other pathways in life to achieve the American dream. And so her comment was basically, but you need to go to college. And I said, but can you go to college and make $100,000 a year and not have $100,000 in debt?
How was that response? I'd be curious to how that response was, because that is definitely
She got quiet.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I recognize there are certain talents that require college education. I would prefer that my doctors and nurses know what they're doing with certain things, but I've seen some really amazing craft in the construction industry just from the welding side of things. It's like,
exactly.
wow, that is an art.
Yeah, and that's what I told her. I said, I got grandkids. I got kids and grandkids that they've gone through college. I have, matter of fact, we have one of my grandsons who's a mechanical engineer just get ready to come back to work for us here in a couple of weeks, and that's exciting. And
yeah, amazing.
So we have engineers in the family. I have one grandson that he's building spaceships now out in Washington, and so
we can talk more about that for a long time. I love that side of the mechanical world. But
so it's not that I'm not against colleges, that there's other avenues to make a living in this country other than going to college. And so
100%.
She didn't appreciate my point, but so when I see these young kids coming, I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, Bill, I hate to kind of cut us off here, but we have reached the end of the show before it kicks us off here. So I greatly appreciate you spending some time. Thank you for tuning in, for any of those that tuned in live and will in the future. But Bill, from here, man, we're going to go ahead and kick it off, but I greatly appreciate it. We'll be back next Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Time. But until that next time, remember to just show gratitude and appreciation for each of those that you get to encounter. So, Bill, with that, we're going to take off, man. Have a wonderful
All right.
rest of
Take
your day.
care. Thank you.